Hello artists! Today I'm going to present to you your first big project of the year, and it's called Data Self-Portraits. If you have received your bag of art supplies that I put together for you, you may have seen this paper right here. It says, "What's your name?" We're going to be using this paper to create our data self-portrait. If you remember from class, a self-portrait is a picture of you, but we've learned over the years that a self-portrait doesn't necessarily have to look like your face. For instance, this is my data self-portrait, and this says Taylor. I used my last name to make this art. Let's also talk about the word abstract art. Abstract art is very different from a realistic drawing that you may be used to. Abstract art is basically made up of line, shape, and color. So we're going to use those three elements to create a really cool and unique piece of art. Let's get started. What you're going to need is a heavy sheet of white paper, which should have been in that bag. You're going to also need a Sharpie and something to color with. I'm going to use crayons today. If you're more comfortable starting with a pencil, that's perfectly fine as well. You can always go back in and trace with a marker later. Alright, so to get started, you're going to go ahead and look at this paper and notice that it has 3 pages. I want you to use your first name for this to get started. So we don't really want to know Mrs. Taylor's first name, so I'm going to use my last name. I'm going to go ahead and circle all the letters that I want to use for this project. I'm going to do the T, A, Y, L, O, where's the R? There it is. R. So go ahead and circle the first letters of your name. Some students have a really short first name, so they decide to do their first or middle name, or even their first and last. Some students get really into it and do all 3, first, middle, and last, so I'll leave it all up to you. Now that I have my letters circled, I notice that each letter has a direction next to it, and it's going to help me know what to draw. So for instance, to start off with my T, it says to draw 3 loopy lines. Now, if you're not really loving what some of these say to do, you can flip over to the next page and it gives you symbols and shapes that you can draw instead. We'll talk about that later. Let's get started. I'm going to go in with my T and it says to draw 3 loopy lines. I'm going to use a thicker black marker. You use whatever you have available. So 3 loopy lines. When you're doing this project, I want you to think about drawing big and filling up this space. We don't want to have just a bunch of floating little shapes and lines all over our paper. We want it big and bold. So 1, 2, we'll do a little one right here. 3 loopy lines. Okay, A says 3 circles. I think I'm going to switch over to my other Sharpie here. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. And another cool thing about this project is you can switch it up and add to it however you want. There's really no rules with abstract art. So I'm going to take these 3 circles that it told me to draw and I'm going to add a little bit to them. I'm going to make them look like bubbles. There. Okay, so 3 circles. We've done the T, we've done the A, let's move on to my Y. So Y says 1 big hashtag. Let's try that. Now, I am not worried about it being perfect. If I make a mistake, it's perfectly okay just to move on. Nothing has to be just right. It's all about having fun in the process. There. 1 big hashtag. Okay. T-A-Y. Let's see what L. L says 4 dots together. Remember, if you don't like what the front cover says, you can just flip it over and try something different. So the L on this page has a crescent moon shape. I think I'm going to try that instead. Let's do a big one right here. So remember, abstract art, you're not normally going to see a realistic picture. It's more just a random assortment of line, shape, and color, kind of like the art on the wall painted behind me. Just going to go in and thicken some of the lines just to make it stand out. Okay, T-A-Y-L-O, or O says 5 organic shapes. Organic shapes are shapes that aren't regular. The opposite of an organic shape is a geometric shape, a shape like a crescent moon, a square, a rectangle, a triangle, things like that. A shape with regular sides. An organic shape is kind of like a bumpy, lumpy, made-up shape. Let me show you what that looks like. So 5 organic shapes. That could be an organic shape. Let's draw another one here. A cloud shape could be organic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, organic shapes. Lumpy and bumpy. What letter am I on? R. 2 geometric shapes. Again, a shape with just regular sides. I'm going to flip it over though and see what the other side says instead. So another thing you can do for R would be a heart. I think I'm going to choose that. All right, let's do a heart right here. All right, so that is my data self-portrait, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to go in and add color to it just to make it a little bit extra. So go in with whatever material you like best. You can use colored pencil, you can use crayon, marker. Just whenever you're coloring, remember it's important to take your time, go slow and steady, and have fun with it. I hope you have a good time with this assignment. Ask a parent at home to take a picture of your artwork. Send it to me so that I can see what you're creating at home. See you soon.